And welcome to custom articles from Byword. So this is a feature that lets you, instead of just generating the sort of standard Byword style of article, lets you sort of go back a level and build out article templates. So you can kind of precisely define how you want your articles to look. You can also then feed in what are called data sets, which are lists of anything you want it to be. It could be cities, plants, bits of custom data that you or your brand has access to that you can then use to fill out these templates. So this is the first in a little video series we're doing on how to use this feature and how to get up to speed. And this first video, we're just going to do essentially a quick start of how to kind of do the minimum viable template or just the quickest thing to get going. And with that, we'll kind of introduce a bunch of the concepts that you need to do more advanced stuff and that we'll get onto in later videos. So to start off with, if you head to the custom screen, you'll see something that looks like this, pretty empty at first. And we'll begin by creating a template. So a template is sort of the basic unit of this, and it's essentially where we go and tell Byword what we want these articles to look like. So we'll just go to template and name, example template. Probably the most important part is this section here, the template itself, and it consists of different blocks. So when you start off, there will always be one block by default, which is the article title block. And chief amongst that is the field for the actual title. So here we will type in a title like how to grow plant. And notice what we're doing here is we're not actually giving a title itself, we're giving a sort of template for a title where we've inserted this variable plant. We'll come back to this a bit later, but the basic idea here is that everything we do is going to be variabilized with a variable of plant, which has appeared up here. And then later on, we're going to connect a data set, which you can think of as, in this example, it's just going to be a list, which defines this value plant and gives some values for it, so different types of plants. You'll notice a lot of the blocks have different sort of parameters and things you can customize. So here we can choose the number of introductory paragraphs, we can choose the image size, so we've got landscape, and we can even customize the kind of prompt that goes into that. The sort of bread and butter of templates, once you've done the title, is these text blocks. And there's a lot of different blocks we'll go into here. In this video, we'll probably just focus on text. But this broadly corresponds to an H2. So every text block has an H2. It can have 0 or multiple H3s. And you can also give the text blocks or give Byword a prompt that describes what you want to do in the text block. Now, the most basic way of doing this is by typing in a specific H2. So this could be something that's essentially hard-coded. So here, there's no variable in here. We could again use our variable plant and have something like this. So again, this connects to this variable that we'll upload a list for later. We can also, if we want, just leave the H2 empty, and we could just say in a section, we want to talk about tips for growing the plant. And if you do this, it will populate a number of H3s for you. It will do the H2 for you. If you want a bit more control, again, to go back, you can put your H2 in. You can add up to 5 H3s. So if we leave these empty, here we're essentially telling Byword we want 2 H3s, but we're not going to specify what they are. Byword can generate those, and Byword can generate the H2 as well. But yeah, we'll add a prompt. So this could be, as I said earlier, so growing. So here, if we went with the template right now, we'd have our title, 2 introductory paragraphs, and we'd have one text section, so essentially just one H2. Typically, an article will have multiple sections down below, multiple text sections, and amongst the many others that we'll come on to. So you might pad this out as, with different sort of sections here. And so this will generate an H2 that talks about fertilizing and stuff like this. Once we're happy with this template and we've got enough text sections or any of these other sections that we'll come to, we can go down below. So firstly, there's an error that's found earlier before we put any variables in. We can just click refresh errors and this should go away. Yep. And then we have writing instructions. So these are just high-level instructions that affect how the overall article is written. So we could do things like tone of voice. So, or just things like this, anything that you want to essentially affect the whole article. If it's just for a section, then we can put it in the prompt for that section. Once we're done with this, we have essentially everything ready that we need. So we can click Save Template, and we're taken back to the custom screen here. And the next step is to create a data set. So in the documentation, we have a couple of example data sets. So this is example 1, where we essentially, this is as simple as it gets. We have one column, the column name is plant, and then we have 10 different values for that plant. So if we have this, or if you look at the demo data sets we have in the documentation, you can just export this as CSV. And we go to create data set. And you can call this example data set 1. Upload our CSV, and it does a quick little check, and it's essentially saying that it's found this column plant, 10 rows, which is what we expect. All looks good. So we can click create data set. Once you go back here, we have our first template, our first data set, and the way we connect these together is going to generate. So this is a little bit like the batch generator screen, except where we're generating from this template. So our project could be called project 1. We choose which data set to connect it to. We only have one at the moment. And what we're doing here is it's looking for all of the variables in the template, and there was just one. And it's asking us to map that variable in the template to one in our data set. Again, there's just one in our data set, so it's very simple. Click plant. And as expected, because we had 10 values of plant, this is going to generate 10 articles. And so if you want to, we can click generate there. And this will essentially produce one article for every row in that data set for the template that we produced. So if we look back at our data set, it would be how to grow tomatoes, how to grow basil, lavender, so on. So yeah, that's just a really quick example of how you would do this. We'll go on in the next few videos to look at more complex examples that have lots more different variables and different columns and data sets and so forth. But this gives a pretty basic overview of everything to start off with.